Porchlandia, Season 1, Episode 1. The bear was here. There is a moment in a man's life when silence becomes a kind of weather. Not hostile, not kind, just persistent. It fills the corners, the rooms, the hours. It shapes the way a door opens, the way footsteps sound, the way breath sits inside the chest. And maybe this is how it begins. A man on a porch at the edge of Texas. A man who had learned how to be quiet long before he ever learned how to ask for anything. Sitting with his elbows on his knees, staring past the tree line like he was waiting for the world to turn itself inside out. There's a kind of quiet that doesn't soothe. The porch has always been still, but sometimes it turns sharp. Like it's asking why you're still here, why you keep playing songs for no one. They say porches are for rocking chairs and memories, but no one tells you what to do when the memories don't sit still, or when you're the only one left rocking. That night started like any other. He'd just finished the last note of a tune no one requested, wiped his hands on jeans that remembered too many summers, and breathed once, steady and tired, looking up at a sky that didn't answer. And in that same breath, he noticed his coffee had gone cold in his hands again, the way it had been doing lately, as if even heat had learned to leave him without ceremony. The night was not young, but it wasn't old either. It was one of those in-between nights, the kind that doesn't promise anything and doesn't need to. The air held the faintest scent of cedar. Somewhere far off, a porch light flickered on a house whose owners had already gone to bed. Brent didn't know what he was waiting for, only that he was waiting. Then, the rustle in the yard, the soft, impossible footfall that rewrites everything. He turned his head slowly, not startled, just curious in the way a man might be after too many quiet years. A shape moved through the beams of moonlight, broad, solid, walking with the unhurried confidence of someone who already knew his way around the place. And then the shape stepped into view. He walked up the steps like he'd built them himself. The boards didn't creak under him. They exhaled, like they recognized him. And before he spoke, before Brent could decide whether to stand or run or blink, there he was. A brown bear in a flower-dusted apron, fur brushed by moonlight, shoulders broad as storybook oaks, looking at Brent with the calm, travelled eyes of someone who had crossed a long distance not by map, but by conviction. Not a dream. Not a hallucination from cheap whiskey and grief fatigue. Not magical. Not overwhelming, just real in the way dawn is real, quiet, inevitable, and somehow already known. The bear tilted his head as if checking the weather of Brent's soul and said,
"Mind if I sit?"
Not an explanation, not an apology, just a sentence shaped like an open door.
You talk?
Sometimes, when it matters.
You're a bear.
Always have been.
And you're here, on my porch, talking.
I heard it was getting lonely out here.
You heard? Wait, who told you that?
The universe, the wind, the piano. Take your pick.
Okay, great. A cosmic bear with opinions on melancholy. I must be more tired than I thought.
You're not tired. You're just waiting.
For what?
For someone who stays.
Brent gestured numbly. The bear settled beside him on the porch, the boards shifting gently under his weight. For a moment, neither spoke. They just breathed the same air, the kind that tastes different when two lives begin to share it. The silence this time was different. Full, not hollow. Senti didn't explain more. Brent didn't ask. Eventually, Brent offered him the other quilt. Senti accepted.
Why a bear?
The bear shrugged, a slow, amused ripple of fur.
Why a man?
Brent huffed a laugh, surprised at how good it felt. The bear nodded, satisfied. The night deepened. Crickets changed their cadence. The trees held their breath, the way trees do when something new is entering the world.
I used to dream of someone like you when I was a kid. A bear who could talk. A bear who got it.
Well, that's funny, because I used to dream of a porch just like this.
You sure you're not just in my head?
Senti reached over and gently squeezed Brent's hand with one warm paw.
You've built a lot of beautiful things up there, but I'm not one of them. I'm here.
Later that night, Brent dozed on the swing, blanket tucked to his chest. Senti didn't sleep. He watched the stars like someone who knew them personally. Sometime in that dark, he made a thing with his hands. When the first light came, it was there, pressed into the wood of the archway above the porch, blowing faintly in the grain as though it had always been waiting beneath the surface. The bear was here. After the carving into the arch, Senti let himself settle into what was left of the night. One paw resting over the spot on the railing where Brent's elbow had been, a gesture small enough to miss, certain enough to keep, as though he could already feel the shape of the years that would gather here. For the first time in far too long, Brent truly rested that night under the stars. Something had shifted. It wasn't the food, not yet. Not even the impossible fact of the bear sitting beside him on the porch. It was the silence. Finally answered. Porchlandia is an original work created by Brent Brooks. All stories, characters and music are protected under copyright 2026. All rights reserved. The porch light stays on.